I want to introduce one of our own. You know Larry Wicker. Larry Wicker's been a member of the Fort Worth Club, the Athletic Center here for some 17 years. He's been an inspiration for both new members and those who've been around throughout those 17 years. Those who have been with him since the beginning of his membership here. He's a financial advisor to the stars in Fort Worth, essentially. And as Tennyson said, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. That's Larry Wicker, an inspiration to us all. If you would, please welcome Larry Wicker to the stage. Larry.
Okay, hang on a second. You can use that or you can use the one. I'll have to use that one. Okay, hang on just a second. All right. Listen, I apologize for being disabled. This is, although I will tell you the parking privileges are awesome. So let me start out by saying don't ever let the facts get in the way of a good story, okay? And I like that a little bit. So how many of you have dealt with Ryan at all? Right, raise your hand. Okay, so I've had the pleasure of working with him on a few different projects along the way, and he called me lately and starts down this track, and he starts this detailed conversation. I'm kind of like, let's get on with this. I know you need for me to do something. What is it that we're getting to here? And he was describing this meeting and got to the end, and he said, and oh, by the way, would like for you to speak. And I thought, well, you know, Troy Aikman doesn't have a lot going on these days. Why don't you get him? And so, in any case, here we are. Oh, you're scaring me now. That's because most of you don't know me. So, I live in Aledo. Is anybody here from Aledo? Okay, so you know who Tim Buchanan is? So, did you? Oh, hang on a second. Oh, man, hang on. I'm sorry. I got to take this. Oh, man. 1 second. I apologize. I've got family issues going on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's here. I was going to talk to him a little bit later. You're calling me right in the middle of this. I'll talk to him and I'll call you about 9 o'clock, okay? Or 9:30. All right, thanks. So, that was Tim Buchanan. So did you know that the Aledo High School, what do you think their win-loss record is? Do you have any idea? So it's good, okay, it's good. Here in the last few years, they've won state six times. They have 194 wins and 24 losses. That's amazing. And the reason he's calling me is that I've been telling him about Ryan Tompkins and his boys. And Ryan, you need to know that they have a house for you in Aledo, Texas, and they will provide tutoring at whatever level is required to have your boys in the football program. Okay. So I started, I'm old, okay, so let's start out with that. And I started working with the trainer when I was 46, and that started when Miles was about 12 years old, and I found a trainer there and ran over to Willow Park there and worked with a trainer for a period of time. Then at 50, old again, I apologize to some of you. I joined the Fort Worth Club, and I work in Burnett Plaza, work a crazy schedule, and felt really good to be able to come here and work out. It's close to the office. I got a trainer immediately. There were people I could talk to about financial planning. We've been doing that for 40 years and have had a great practice at that. The athletic facilities here, as they said, are not parallel. There's nothing like this anywhere else. And I just, I used to think I would walk in the door off of 7th Street. There's a door that comes down a stairway there. Y'all know where that is? Have you ever thought about what that aroma is when you go down? For me personally, I love that smell. It's like I'm coming home. It's not like anything I smell anywhere else. So the fellowship here is amazing. I have so many friends here, I can't even tell you. And a lot of people that I don't even know who they are that always say hi to me, and it's a good place to be. I enjoy being here. They have a great lunch. I go, Martine takes care of me unbelievably well. He'll put a plate of food in front of me in about a heartbeat, but it's always the same thing. No, I'm kidding you. He does a great job. So when I started here at 50, I was working out 3 days a week. But one of those days, I was working with a trainer whose name was Christian Harvey. He looked about like Ryan, okay? Big boy. You didn't ever worry about him not being able to spot you at 125 pounds. He was good at what he did. What I found about the trainer thing, I don't know if you have a trainer. A lot of you do. I don't see a lot of you, but I don't do basketball and so forth. It's hard to jump with 400 pounds tied to your rear. But what I found about a trainer was that it established, so one day a week I would have a trainer. It established a financial commitment. I had somebody I knew I was going to have to pay, which was good for me. I scheduled a specific time. I was there every time, every week. Also, I had a workout partner, Garland Asher. Garland, you're an amazing human being. I could kick his rear, though, on pull-ups, if you want to know the truth. But, buddy, you want to have somebody you could compete with. Garland Asher was and is it. He was amazing. But having a workout partner is a big, big deal. A trainer will help you have correct form, keep you from hurting yourself, which is massive. John, you know that. You and Andy work out together. That's inspirational to see that. Keep that up. It's amazing. Another great thing about I'm kind of promoting trainers here. You figuring that out? Left to my own device, I would always just do a bench press. Brett will tell you I'll go over there and bench press till my eyes bleed. But what he did for me, one of the many things was, he taught me to count to 12, because that's as far as he could go, by the way. And he came up with an exercise variety. He came up with things that I would not have come up with, and so safety was very good, although he had a little bit of trouble spotting me at 3:15. Another great thing about a trainer is they'll help you work past problems. So if you have a shoulder, you might say, well, I'm not going to go in today. I've got a shoulder. Well, no. We're going to do something different than shoulders, and he'll work on something different and keep you in the gym instead of in your office doing stuff that you probably really didn't need to do anyway. So at the time, I was working out in the gym 3 days a week and doing fairly well at that. At the same time, I heard something about Herschel Walker. Everybody here knows who Herschel Walker is. Well, Herschel, he always did three things. He did push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. And he did that every day. And so I thought, well, okay, I'm in the gym 3 days a week. Another 3 days, I'm going to start working out. And I'll do that at home. And I have just a small thing at home. And so I started doing 3 different things. I did push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups. And I did push-ups. Now, some of you already know this, and I apologize if you've heard this before. I would get up first thing in the morning, and I'd do 100 push-ups. And I would do that to warm up. And then I would go for a max. And I did this over a long period of time, over a year and a half or so. So let's just have a guess. Guess how many I got up to. Just throw it out there. 300. John, did you say 300? Oh, bite your tongue. So I got to 236. Okay, so I'd warm up at 100 and go to 236. Now, Brett, what would you think was the hardest thing about that? 237. No. Keeping count. Okay, so I would do that, and then I did 20 pull-ups, 2 sets of 20, and then I'd do sit-ups, do 100, and do 2 sets of that. And at 60, how many people in here have ever benched 315? Raise your hand. Ryan, hold up your hand. I know you did. Okay. So I was benching 315. I weighed 192, and which was amazing to me. That was amazing to me. And it's crazy. The sensory issue there, you can feel the bar actually bending. You can feel it flex when you push it up. And when you hear them put on that third plate, it goes clang. It's not like any other sound in the gym, and it's a lot of fun to hear that. So I'd also do bench press dumbbells. I got where I could bench press 120-pound dumbbells, and you'll say, Harris used to always say, well, Wicker, that's basically one little Asian lady on each hand that you're doing that. Now, I don't know what that was about. That's what he talked about. There you go. Yeah. And I said, well, never mind. And so I also got where I was doing pull-ups with a 45-pound plate around my waist. And at 65, I was benching 290. So my strength started to decline. I used to always wonder, when is your strength going to decline? So I got to 315. I couldn't go any higher than that. And for me, at 65, I was still doing 290, so I was going down. Now, there have been, for me personally, some inspirational people here, and y'all are going to know a couple of these people. I'm not going to name a lot, but one of the ones that always inspired me that I was excited about was Mr. Bailey. How many people know who Mr. Bailey is? Okay, so Mr. Bailey was known as the Shark. Okay, and Mr. Bailey had to be 90 years old. He was somewhere between 90 and 190. He was not a young fella, and Mr. Bailey would show up always dressed to the nines, dressed unbelievably so. He had a caregiver that was with him, a real big black guy that would help him change clothes and so forth. He was dressed impeccably well. Mr. Bailey would get here, and he would go and swim, and we have a heated pool, but I'm going to tell you, it's cold. That's cold. Getting there today, getting in that pool is cold. And he would go and do that on a regular basis, and I was just inspired to see him do what he did on a day-to-day basis. Also, I would tell you, Tim Engelbert is inspirational to me. He's been through a lot, and he always has a tremendous attitude. He's a tremendous athlete and just a first-class operation. I just really enjoy seeing him. Now, let me tell you, I figured out how to do something, and you may appreciate this. How do you be the best at something? Pardon? Practice. Well, no, that's part of it. I think the best way to do it is to limit your sample group, okay? So I used to want to be the strongest guy in the Fort Worth Club, okay? That was my goal, to be the strongest guy in the Fort Worth Club. And then when I got down to 290, I wanted to be the strongest old guy in the Fort Worth Club. And today I want to be the strongest old guy in a wheelchair in the Fort Worth Club. So I've done a fairly good job of hitting those goals. So in May 31st, 2015, I fell on my head, and it was a Sunday, a beautiful spring day. I was actually headed over to help Miles do some work in one of his rent houses. He's building a real estate empire, but I'm his free labor, or was. And I fell on my head because I was trying to protect my leg. I fell off a 6-foot retaining wall, and I was going to land on my leg, and then I remembered, well, Wicker, you got a double compound fracture of your right leg playing golf. Sometimes I'll tell you that story. But I didn't want to land on my leg, so I fell just square on my head. So I am laying down below grade. You couldn't see me where I was, and I couldn't feel anything, and I couldn't get to my phone, and it was really very, very odd. It felt like somebody had stuck an electrical cord in my neck and feeding current through my body. I mean, it just electricity, just amazing. And so I'm laying there, and I can't move at all. I couldn't move anything. And my next door neighbor was home, but I live out in the country, so he's not right next door. And I yelled, Tim, Tim, several times, and then I figured out my ability to talk was going away. So I thought, well, Wicker, you might want to stop yelling. I thought, okay, well, this is how it's going to end. You're going to die right here. And so it didn't work out that way. And so Sandy got home from Costco. They have a picture of her in the break room there. And so I went to the hospital for 6 weeks, and the women at Harris Hospital are amazing. They are gorgeous, and they all smell good. And I don't know what was going on with that, but that was the case. So I was there for 6 weeks, left there, and went to rehab for 6 weeks. Since then, I've been in rehab. I've been in rehab for 3 years. Sarah Light, who is here, is my wife in the gym, and she keeps me up and going. So today I'm a real mess. You see my hands kind of don't work, which is a problem for somebody historically who does welding and blacksmith work and things like that. And so that's been difficult. I had to change hobbies. Today I make rings out of coins. Sometimes corner me and say, Wicker, show me your rings. It's kind of an interesting thing, and I've had fun with that. And I'll make you a really nice ring that's worth $100 and give it to you if you want one. Today, I have spasticity real bad, and so what that means is that your muscles are just totally firing all the time. So if you looked at my arm, what you'll see is I really have a bicep. The problem is I can't make it go away. I mean, it's so tight that I can't straighten out my arm, and my whole body's like that. And so spasticity is an issue. To help with that, I got a thing called a baclofen pump. So what that means is I have a hockey puck right here, which then caused me to give away all my Speedos, because I don't look that good in a Speedo anymore. In the meantime, I sold my Corvette. I had a new Corvette, and I couldn't get down it, so I had to sell it. I've been selling and giving away a lot of tools. I've accumulated a lot of tools along the way. And I was telling Jim LeCamp about this here recently, and his ears kind of perked up. And I could tell he thought he might get something out of this deal. And I said, well, you know, Jim, I've got some other stuff I think you might be interested in. And he said, well, what is that? And I said, well, I got a 6-month supply of Viagra. And he said, well, how many pills is that? And I said, 2. So now that's a true story, LeCamp. But I set you up on that actually because I knew where I was going. So I'm the luckiest guy you ever met. I'm sitting here in a wheelchair. If you could go to rehab with me and see what some of these people deal with, it's overwhelming. I can walk 800. I competed in a 1K in a walker in a sleet storm and finished that race. And Sarah Light was there with me. That was about a year ago, so I can cover some distance in a walker. I'm not fast or pretty, but I am committed. You know, I always like to say this. I love this phrase. It's amazing how lucky you get working 70 hours a week for 30 years. So we had and have today, Miles is my partner. Are you working 70 hours, son? He's working close. If he's not working, he's thinking about working, I can tell you that. But Sandy is my wife and my taskmaster, and she reads me the right act on a regular basis. It's kind of scary when your most important conversation of the day has to do with your toileting issues, but we have to deal with that day to day. I've been so blessed on income and net worth, I can't even tell you. What my current circumstance is very expensive, and it is not a problem. And so I've been blessed with that. So today I do rehab 5 days a week through various sources, several of them here that make a huge difference. I can feel my feet like you can't believe, and it's because of my massage therapist, and she's unbelievable. It is honestly hard to stay awake, though, when this is going on. So I go to the gym 2 days a week. I've got Brian. He does a great job, and Don Sanford does an unbelievable job. If you have occasion to work with either of those guys, they're amazing. So Miles is kind enough to let me work in the office 4 days a week. I work about 5 hours a day, 4 days a week, and try to make a difference. Try to help him any way I can and take off some of the things that he's too busy to do. And I spend a lot of time trying to help the various people around me, and that's worked out. I would tell you the club members have been a very important part of my life. I encourage you to find something here that makes a difference to you. There are so many different opportunities here. It is amazing. Spend some time, talk to your friends, find out what they're doing, and go do it. Being fat and old is not fun, you know. Oh, I didn't tell you this. This is a big deal. I'm here because I had been in the gym real heavy for a long time. My spinal cord, my column was 50% larger than a regular person because I'd spent so much time in the gym. That's what the surgeon said. Now, that's amazing to me. So one last thing, Ryan, I've got to call Tim back a little bit later. Okay, you're in. All right, well, we're going to get rid of Ryan. Or he's moving to Aledo. All right, thank you so much for putting up with me.
One final award here tonight. If you would, please welcome Ryan Tompkins back to the stage. Ryan.
Hey, Brian just told me he was going to sneak out of here, but he just blew it because he whispered that real quick. He was rushed to get over here to watch his daughter's opening basketball game. Got to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning because he's the radio host of WBAP. So big hand of applause for Brian Estridge. Okay, last thing, and we're going to get out of here. There's one more award. You want to go to the next slide here real quick? And I think we all know who this goes to. This is a poster actually in my office, and there's a lot of conversations that go around this poster in a variety of ways. We can't tell whether the guy's falling off and, begging for his life or whether he's accomplishing a great goal and going up. But either way, life throws you obstacles, and you gotta figure out a way around them. And I don't think there's anybody else better to represent that. So, Mr. Wicker, this is the Perseverance of the Year.